All right, let's do some math. This is a quick little video here. This is about naming things, points, lines, and segments. Let's start with a point. If we're going to name a point, we're going to use a capital letter and a dot. Okay, so literally just there's a point and pick a capital letter. I'm going to pick M for Matt. Or there's one, I could pick Z. Okay, but you have to be a capital letter. You might see it like this every once in a while. You might see the capital letter literally written next to an ordered pair. An ordered pair is just a point. We just usually graph it. And then we could put the capital letter next to that ordered pair. All right, let's move on. Let's figure out how to name a line then. A line is 2 points. You see, we can connect 2 points. We can connect any 2 points with a line. Boom. I missed a little bit, but pretend I went straight through those 2 points. And so those 2 points are 2 capital letters. And so how are we going to name our lines? Well, we're going to use 2 capital letters. AB could be a line, or XY. Notice though, we put this little line, we literally put a line, we put AB, but then we put a line with arrows on top of AB. And so if we're going to name a line, we use 2 points and a line over the top of it. Finally, and this is a little bit weird, but we could use a lowercase letter as well. So for example, this L right here, that stands for line. So the way to name this thing right here is AB with a line over top, or you could just say that's line L. It would be a lowercase cursive L if you're going to do that though. Line L, lowercase cursive. Okay, let's check out segments now. A segment is just a line, but it doesn't keep going forever. So instead of having arrows on the end like this, we're going to say, whoops, no arrows. And we're going to put endpoints. So now we actually have endpoints. And it's made up of lots of little points in here. Okay, there's points right here, right here, right here, right here. All of these are points. But the thing is, the endpoints are the important ones. And maybe these endpoints are like C and D. And so we could write CD. Those are still the important ones. But the thing is, it's no longer a line on top. So when we write our little thing on top, it's going to be a segment. We are not going to put arrows like that. We're just going to leave it as a segment. And so this is a good way to name that line segment. That picture, CD, the segment, we're just going to write CD with a line over top of it. Finally, if we're talking about the length of a segment, this segment might be something like 4 inches long. If we're talking about the length of the segment, we would say CD equals 4. So if you're going to put it in an equation, you no longer put the line over top of it. Okay? You no longer put that line over top of it. You just say CD is 4. And finally, last thing we're going to learn here today is the segment addition postulate. Okay, the segment addition postulate says if you have a line and 3 points are collinear, collinear just means they're on the same line. So for example, A, B, and C. We'll say they're all on the same line here. That's not a very straight line. It should have been straighter, but we'll pretend A, B, and C. If they're all in a straight line, this part of the segment, AB, remember we're talking about its length now, so like 4 inches, 5 inches. This part of the segment right here, plus this part of the segment right here, if we add those together, well, it should give us the whole thing. Okay, it should give us AC. And notice now, again, we're talking about segments. We're not putting lines over the top of these segments. We're talking about the lengths of the segments. So now let's put a number or two to this. Let's say this one's 21, and let's say this one's over here is 38. Then the whole thing would be, okay, AC, the whole thing would be whatever 21 plus 38 is, which is going to be something like 59. And you can put units at the end. Okay, I didn't give an inches or centimeters, but you can put some units at the end. All right, let me leave that there, but let me try one more. And to do that, I need to kind of pop down here. So let me try one more. Get a blank screen here. Let me draw a line, and I'll put This is x, y, and z. If I tell you xz is 90, and I tell you yz is 30, and then I could ask you, well, what is xz? What's the length of that segment xz from the endpoints at x over to y? Sorry, I said xz a couple times. X over to y. And, well, the first thing you need to do is probably label. So that's x over to z. It's this whole thing right here. I like to label with these little things. This little squiggly bracket. I like to label it like that. There's 90. It goes from x all the way over to z. Then I'm going to label yz as 30, and I'm going to put it just right there. That's pretty clear to me that that's between y and z. Must be the segment with the endpoints y to z. And so really what I'm looking for is this part right here. I'm looking for whatever that variable is. I'll give it an a. Okay, x was already used, so I'll put the variable a. And so I could set up an equation. A plus 30 equals 90. That's the segment addition postulate. The two smaller segments added together is equal to the big one. And I could solve that and get a is 60. Now, some of you might have been able to kind of just see that in your head, that it's going to be 60. But remember, this equation is pretty important. In fact, the test question might actually be set up an equation. It might not say solve. It might say, what is the equation that can be set up here using the segment addition postulate? So in your homework, try to get used to, in your practice assignments, try to get used to setting up the equation. All right, if you have any questions, if you need any help, you can reach out. Good luck.